On Sunday, Fox Business host Liz Claman suggested that Mark Meadows and possibly other former Trump allies may actually be working with Special Prosecutor Jack Smith and that they all may have flipped on Donald Trump. Now, this isn't new, right? This is what a lot of people have been saying for quite some time now. I've said it. I think pretty much everybody on the left have said it. It's pretty obvious that at least some people are working against Donald Trump in order to save themselves. So here's why what Liz Claman said is actually important. She was doing a segment along with conservative writer Molly Hemmingway. And Hemmingway comes out and says this: "It's very hard for Americans to see what's happened to our Department of Justice, and a competent media again would be covering it accurately, honestly, and about the threat it poses to our republic. All these top Democrats said the election was stolen, and they claimed that the election had been stolen by Donald Trump being a traitor who had colluded with Russia. This was a horrible lie. They knew it was a lie, and nobody's been held accountable for it." Well, they weren't actually saying the election was stolen. They were saying that Russian interference boosted Donald Trump, which is actually true. That did happen. So you may not like it, but it did happen. They also had a really bad candidate in 2016. Hillary Clinton had huge unfavorables, and Democrats looked the other way, and they did so at their own peril. But it was this statement from Hemmingway that actually got Liz Claman a little worked up. She wasn't happy because she was talking about Donald Trump, talking about a looming indictment, what's going on with all those legal problems. So after Hemmingway tried to shift the conversation, Clayman snapped back and she said, "Well, I look at it at the focus of the media level. One thing has been pointed out lately by both members of the right and the left media. The chief of staff, Mark Meadows, has gone silent. And there are some big questions as to who Special Counsel Jack Smith really has. He may have some acolytes of President Trump who are in the only position they can take, and that is the truth." So, Molly can go on and on about those focuses, but there are some evidence pieces here. So that's what gets me about this. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because you actually have a Fox host, granted it's Fox Business, not Fox News Channel, but she called out this conservative on her program who's saying but the Democrats, and she's like, hold your horses, because there's some strong evidence. And the evidence is not coming from the Democrats who you want to demonize. The evidence is likely coming from Trump's own people. And that's what's so important about this, right? It's not just that these people may have flipped, although to his credit, Meadows' lawyers say that he has not flipped, which, by the way, is exactly what they would say if he had or hadn't flipped. You don't give up the game, right? You don't go out there and be like, yeah, my dude flipped. Oh boy, you're going to be shocked with what he said. Trump's going to jail because of my guy flipping. No, you paint a giant target on your client if you say that. So of course you deny it. Having said that, maybe he's not flipped. We don't know. I just wanted to clear the air and say, for the record, his lawyers say he has not flipped. But people like Mark Meadows, people like Rudy Giuliani, various different staffers, possibly Jared Kushner and Ivanka, all of these people could, depending on what Jack Smith is looking at and depending on what evidence he has, they could also find themselves in trouble. And the only way for them to stay out of trouble, most likely, would be for them to say, okay, look, yeah, I did some things, but I'm willing to tell you and provide you with evidence of the things this guy did if I don't go down for the things I did. You give me immunity or you give me a special deal, then we can talk and I can help you take the guy down. And when everybody's back is against the wall, they're going to start taking these kinds of deals. And that's likely the case with Mark Meadows, who we know was the central figure outside of Donald Trump, the second man down in the chain of command, who likely did some things that probably were not on the level. So it would make sense for Mark Meadows to cooperate. But again, the bigger thing is not just that people are cooperating, but that Trump's own people are cooperating, no matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's Meadows or any of those other people I mentioned. Could have been all his staffers. It could be members of Congress. The point is, it's all coming from Republicans. And I know that is not going to matter to the Trump supporters. But there are voters in this country, the normal ones, the moderate Republicans on the fence, that knowing that Republicans are the ones who told all these stories of all the crimes, if that happens, that's going to matter to them because it's not going to be coming from the left. It's going to be coming from people that they admire and respect. That could change a few votes, and that may be all that's necessary. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel. We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.